Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have an incredible panel with us with Go Trego. And Ted, I'm really excited to see what Cobi and Mike will have up their sleeve for our special guest today.
Sarah, you're so right. They definitely have something. And look at the team we've got assembled here. In addition to Cobi Collins, Vice President at Client Experience at GoTrego, Michael Grubich is here, CEO. And we've got two retail superstars who are not turning hours at the moment. Very rare to see Marco Zwanenburg and Curtis Gardner here in the middle of the day. But gentlemen and Cobi, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks for having us.
All right. The title of our session today is What Good Hiring Looks Like from Both Sides of the Table. Cobi, you are the expert at this. We're going to go ahead and turn over the reins to you and let you rapid fire some of your queries with these two gentlemen.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both so much, Curtis and Marco, for being with us. You two have such a critical voice in the industry. And it's so important that this group hears from the two of you versus vendors, suppliers, et cetera, because you know what's going on. And there's even a session coming up at NADA that is how to keep your best talent technicians. And the two of you fall in that category. So we want to hear from you today. So I'm going to start and ask a couple of questions. Let's get a conversation going. Mike has been on the other side of the hiring table a whole lot. And the two of you have been on both sides. So we want to hear what this looks like. How do we keep our best technicians in the Bay? So in one sentence, let's start with you, Marco. In one sentence, what does your best employer do that made you want to show up and win every day?
Treat me as a person with mental needs, physical needs, with a family, with a body that is not a machine.
Okay. Curtis, what about you? What makes you want to show up every day?
Pretty similar to what Marco said. I think communication, treating me like a person rather than a tool, and just coming by and stopping by for a quick conversation every now and then. Keep me included in just, the day, see how it's going.
So making you feel valued, which keeps you engaged, right?
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
You're not a wrench in the toolbox. You're actual humans.
Exactly. We are the people behind the numbers. We are not the numbers behind the people.
Right. I love that soundbite, Marco. That's so important. And it is critical. But how do we know our people? How can we know them and know what drives you, what interests you outside of work? Not that we have to spend a bunch of time trying to be best friends while we're working, but hey, how can I actually connect with you because you are a human and you're critical to our team? And so it's important that we get that information before you ever set foot on the team and in the Bay. Okay, what are your top 3 non-negotiables? If a shop wants A players, what are your 3 must-haves? Curtis, let's start with you.
Let's say the first one for me is probably going to be a goal, a career path.
Okay, career path.
Yeah, career path. Proper compensation is up high on the list, I think, with a lot of techs. And number 3 would have to be, it's a team. It's not just we're a family here, but they're acting upon those things that they say they are.
Great. Okay, Marco, top 3 non-negotiables for work.
A well-equipped shop, including placement of equipment, etc., and a well-equipped tool room. And they'll be hemming and hawing. If you're a multi-million-dollar a month operation, they'll be hemming and hawing about buying a $1,400 battery charger that the shop needs. Second of all, I'm very much with Curtis on this. Be a team, be like a family. It doesn't take long for a seasoned technician to, even before we set foot in the shop, we've checked you out on Facebook, we looked at your website, we can tell how the culture is in the shop. So for me, one of the main things is culture, and just mutual respect from the janitor to the CEO, up and down, from parts to the sales, respect. We're all humans, we're all here for the same goal, the customer.
Nice. Yeah, Ted's cheering. Yes, for sure. Culture's so critical. And sorry, go ahead, Marco. What's your third?
That one, my third was culture was my second, and the third was respect.
Respect. Okay, culture and respect.
Yes.
So, Mike, from your side of the table, when you're looking at interviewing folks, How do you consider these things and get this information about what this person actually needs? Because we have to maintain the human connection in the interview process, in the development process, in the promotion process. So from your side of the table, when you're talking to potential new team members, how do you check in and communicate to these folks that they'll be treated like a team? There's great culture, there's respect that will be had, and you'll make sure it happens. And I know, Curtis, you said like a family, a functional family, not a toxic family.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I think, you know, some of there's two sides to that, right? I think from an organization point of view, you got to make sure you have brought in or put in place the right leaders who are establishing not just that culture, but bringing in the talent to fit that culture, right? So it begins with making sure you have the framework in place and set the stage to bring in the right people. And then it is getting some information on the talent that's coming in, getting some data on that, and asking them behavioral questions, getting to understand how are they going to react in certain situations to see not only technically are they sound, because that's important, but also professionally are they sound, and do they have the traits that align with what the role brings, what the customer looks for, what coworkers need, and what the culture is of the organization. So it's great to have data. It's great to assess that in people. It's great to validate that in the interview process. And you got to have the leaders in place who can help maintain that and bring that to life in the organization.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. There's a theme that I hear going on here, and it's about respect and being human. And so I want to ask, and this is maybe this question answers itself, but Marco or Curtis, either one of you can, or both can answer. What's the fastest way that a shop loses great techs?
Go for it, Curtis.
I think there's several things here. For me, in my experience and what I've heard from technicians that are deciding to leave their shop is, I think the biggest thing is compensation. Even though that I don't believe that, I think accountability is up there at the top. But I'd say compensation and accountability, or lack of accountability, are the two biggest things that I'm hearing.
Okay. So Mike, let's talk about compensation. Is it usually really the money that makes somebody leave a job?
Well, I mean, the data shows that it's not. Usually it's the manager and the fit in the organization. That's what the data shows. That being said, you can never discount the compensation issue, right? That's it. You know, we all have needs. Maslow has his hierarchy. There's certain needs we need to have. So that's certainly a satisfier in a role. You know, but that's an easy thing to throw up top as the biggest issue when everything else isn't working, right? That's an easy fallback for an individual. If things aren't going good emotionally for me, if I don't feel career-wise I have an opportunity, if I don't get along with my coworkers, or my manager isn't very effective, well, then I'm not getting paid enough for this anyway. So it's something that you hear all the time, and it is one of the top three things that we see in companies is why people leave. Number one, though, is I don't have is my career going to advance? Number two is my manager effective? Then three comes compensation.
So Curtis, you've mentioned all of those things. So we know that the data supports real people who are doing these jobs. You're seeing and hearing that. And would you both agree? I mean, Marco, compensation talks to you being a human, having a family, needing, having a life, having bills, needing to go to the doctor, et cetera. So compensation is important, and we can't discount our people just because they're not in the C-suite of the organization, right? They need to get paid. But would you both agree that it's a two-way street? If you show up and bring your best to work, and you give your best, and you're topping the charts on hours turned without burning out, that then you earn that place to earn more compensation. How would you both address that compensation issue? Because it's important, but we know number one is manager effectiveness, and that's accountability, Curtis. So how do we address that compensation in connection with performance?
Well, I think, first of all, we're looking at compensation maybe in two different ways. If you're talking about, you can pay me $1,000 an hour, but if the culture is so bad that I need antidepressants just to be able to drag my butt out of bed and go to work, then you can keep your money. I'd rather go flip burgers for $10 an hour. But what we're talking about, Curtis and I and other technicians are talking about, is fair compensation. Sometimes we get stuck on incredibly complicated jobs. Most of the time, those are warranty jobs, and our hands are tied with how much money we can suck out the manufacturer. But just knowing that our bosses have our backs because they see that we bring our A game every day. That kind of compensation, the fair compensation, that is something that we're not seeing much in the industry, and this is something that definitely needs to be addressed.
For sure. And you just said something really critical, knowing that your boss has your back. That's a leader's job, right, Mike? That you have your team's back. If things go sideways, you're going to show up and stand right next to them, lock arm in arms, or get in front of them and make sure you handle difficult situations.
Yeah, it definitely is, right? You need a leader. You need a leader who can have that conversation with you, can be candid with you, and build trust with you, but who's going to remove obstacles, right? And that's what you need is in a leader, someone who is going to jump in front and pull something out of the way that's getting in your way. Sometimes that's something you need, a tool. Sometimes that's something that's not working that you got to get out. Sometimes it's a relationship that's not working. That's one of the things leaders need to do. And it'd be interesting to me, to both of you is what behaviors resonate with leaders and coworkers that drive you to some of the opinions you have. Are there things that they do that make you feel like you're not being respected, you're not happy with what you're doing?
Marco,
there's I think it's like a slow death. I think it's not usually one thing that happens, not usually one thing that happens one time. It's something that you're seeing repeatedly over and over, and it can be anywhere from the way they treat you on a daily basis with other people. It can be the way that they talk to you or the way that they talk about the numbers to you. It can be a whole scheme of things, but I think it's a slow death. It's kind of like people start to silent quit before they ever actually quit and get upset about the compensation.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than seeing bad behavior, bad employees being tolerated, because then we're not talking about leaders, we're talking about managers. The only thing they care about is the bottom line. They don't care how we get there. And those are the dealerships that will go under because they still think that technicians are a dime a dozen. And how is that working out for y'all?
Yeah. On the other side of that, and it's I'm of the mindset when you look at bringing in talent, it's always easy to really go quickly to, okay, what behaviors do we not want to see? But you guys, based on your career, you've probably worked for some really good people over time. And I always kind of focus on, okay, what are the good things we're looking for? Kind of keep focused forward. And so what are some of the things that you've experienced that are really great that have kept you motivated to perform at the top level?
Well, for starters, it is the third Thursday of the month, which means that a local ice cream truck will be parked in the service drive in the next 30-something minutes, which happens every month. There's a list of birthdays that will always be there. The managers all the way up to the CEO knows your name, knows your family, stops by in the shop, says hi, talks to you. Just being treated like a human being, like we're part of a big family, like what Curtis said. But you're like, in your defense there, Cobi, a functional family, of course. But it's the level of personal attention that no matter how big the organization get or how many people are here, that leaders are able to maintain that. That will give you respect all around the clock, and respect makes people take the extra step. Besides that, for me, my work is my business card. I don't want you going down the road and get a flat tire and pull the car in and they find all sorts of stuff that I should have found or I should have checked or I should have cleaned. So it fosters personal pride. It fosters culture. So leadership is such an important part of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard to say it much better than that, but today we had something similar where we had a food truck come through where they're giving us lunch for fixing all the cars right on our survey scores for last month. So it's just the little things that they benefit from, that they then give us some type of reward or a value builder in that, so that we can enjoy that achievement as well.
Great.
Well said.
That's awesome. So being rewarded for great performance, right? It feels good to be recognized, and just saying, hey, because you show up every day, we want to make sure you keep showing up, and we're going to do something. And it's small, right? This isn't anything huge or asking for, but this goes back to respect and treating you all like human beings. And that's super important. So Mike, help me. I want to turn the page here and look now forward. So we've been talking about retention and what makes you want to stay. And things are a little bit different today in the service bay. You have to engage more with customers. You've got to do videos. You have to earn the trust of the customers. So we're asking technicians who are highly mechanical and technical human beings, who may not love to be super social all the time, but we're asking them to step out of that comfort zone a little bit. So as we look ahead to what's coming and how you really retain those customers, one, I believe, is retaining your technician, because you build trust when I get to see the same face every time I bring my car in, instead of every time I come in for an oil change, it's a different technician and I don't recognize any of the faces. So how do we maintain that? So if you ran hiring, if it was your job to hire and you're considering all the new things that are coming in, what's one question or a process you might add to really find that top talent that fits your culture? Marco?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't think you can sum it up in one question. If that's the case,
Okay.
I think we'd be well staffed everywhere. But bringing it back to retention, I think retention is the best marketing you can have to attract new talent. Like I said earlier, like technicians that are looking for a different job, and they come walking into your shop, we can like taste the culture in the shop, and if it's bad, there's no way we're going to be working there. So it's all comes back to the culture. So I would have more of a personal conversation with a new hire or a prospective new hire than a technical, because we can train the technical part. But if you are not a good fit for our company, personality wise, that is something that we just can't change.
For sure. Curtis, what about in the interview process? What are you willing to do as a technician to be part of a team that has the culture and all of the things that you're looking for? Are you willing to spend extra time, maybe do 1 or 2 interviews, take an assessment? What are you willing to do to get that job?
Yeah, before I answer that, I think, well, just the one little thing to add on to what Marco said is reputation. Good shops, they are known across the industry about where you want to and where you don't want to work. In the interview process, though, I think one thing is the persistence, showing that you're interested, being able to do the interviews, being able to do some of the assessments, like Trego itself, and being able to say, hey, I want to be a part of this company because I know it's great, and following up and showing that ambition I feel like it's kind of priceless. If the person is maybe not your first candidate, but they're consistent, they show up, they give you a call, they follow up, and like, that's a consistent person, and you want that on your team versus somebody who's just a sporadic high performer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there are things that we can't ferret out in the interview alone, or the first interview, or on the resume. And so one of the things that we hear in the industry often from leaders is, hey, we don't want to do anything that takes extra time because getting technicians in our bays is just already difficult enough. This is the one role where we, as what we do in the people strategy side of things, we get the most pushback around technicians, because they say, hey, look, we don't want to spend any more time because they can go next door and get a job in 5 minutes. And so we can't do what somebody else isn't doing. Do you guys agree with that? Or would you say, yeah, I'd spend 30 more minutes in an interview with you, or taking an assessment so you can understand me better and we can have a better interview?
I disagree with the that it's too much. I would believe if a company would actually go to the lengths of having multiple interview rounds and using assessments like Trego, etc., or the DISC assessment, that you're actually showing genuine interest in not just me as in a production role, but me as a person. Will I be a good fit for your company, and will your company be a good fit for me? So
yes,
to me, going the extra step, it's like going on a first date and being allowed to order an appetizer and a dessert.
And it's a two-way conversation then, right? It's as much your interview as it is theirs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike.
It's a great point, and Curtis and I talked about this at a little bit at Northwood when we first met. Is career is an important step, right? And so that extra time up front to take that assessment, it's great for the hiring. So you're hiring the right fit, but even more importantly, and the greater value is now you have something to talk about from a development point of view, and now you can retain. So hiring is certainly hard enough. Retaining helps you with all of those processes. And so it's, Curtis and I had talked about, if he wants to continue to develop, how can we use the assessment to dig into that? And I think as organizations look at it that way, more than just the hiring piece, but the development piece, that's where the true value comes in these tools. Yeah, I mean, the data shows, what our data shows is that in technical roles, within the first 30 days, people decide whether they're going to stick with the company. And with commercial type of roles, it's usually about 100 days or so, and they've decided whether they're going to stay. Now, they may stick it out for 18 months, they may stick it out for 24, but they're not going to stick around much longer, and usually within 3 years, they're gone. So bringing in people who are a good fit, but also having leaders in the organization who can do what they can to retain those people right away and get them engaged right away, that's the secret sauce to that retention. And having tools that help you have those conversations, it makes it a lot easier for the leaders. It makes it a lot easier for the GMs and the managers at your dealerships to engage people right away and get them to, we like to use the term, write yourself into the story, because when people write themselves into the story, they want to stay for more chapters. And so that's where we can help, and that's where these type of tools help. And when you have people like Marco and Curtis who are, have the fire in the belly to do well, not just in their job, but to continue to grow, you got to feed that fire.
Cobi and Mike with Go Trego, thank you so much. GoTrego.com, everybody. The best in the industry. They specialize in retail automotive. They've been working for a long time behind the scenes on this with great success. I know they've built the relationships we talk about with Curtis and Marco, who are here, and many members of the Fixed Ops Roundtable family. So Mike and Cobi, we owe you a great debt. And thank you for all you do. Mike and Cobi, I know we're going to see you next week at NADA in Las Vegas. Marco, I heard you're going to be on that stage with us. Is that true?
Absolutely. I'm not missing this one, Ted. I'll be right there with you, and let's have some fun. Let's bring some more knowledge to the audience, shall we?
All right, very good. I think Curtis is not far behind. I think he may come as well. So, Cobi and Mike and Marco and Curtis, thank you for all you do for the industry. Appreciate you all.
Thanks for having me. Happy
the
days.
Go Trego team, everybody, here today with us at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Take care.